So, Dyani, one fun thing I learned as you joined the company is that outside of work, you have maybe a passion around acting. And so, am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, you are.
All right, awesome. So, I'm curious, like, what's any fun, interesting disasters or situations occur on any of the stages that you've been a part of?
Yeah, I'll give a story actually from last year. We were doing a production of Beauty and the Beast, and I was playing Lumiere, so everything was in a French accent. And of course, as Lumiere, I had candle hands, so I didn't actually have any hands. And we were dancing around in the song "Be Our Guest," which most people know that song. And as I was dancing backwards, oh so suavely in my French Lumiere costume, I tripped over the staircase that we had built to come down through the stage and completely fell over backwards. But what's the first thing you do when you fall is you put your hands down. But I didn't have any hands. So it was a really fascinating problem to figure out how to fall without harming myself or breaking the candles too badly. And then also trying to recover for the audience. So I popped up, looked at the audience and said, we are French. We can do better than that. Let's try again. And so then I cued the maestro and we restarted the music and I jumped up on the table and sang. But it was an interesting thing to fall on stage. It's never fun to fall on stage in front of an audience, but even worse when you don't have hands.
Yeah, and it's not choreographed, it doesn't sound like
And it's
either.
not
So,
choreographed. Luckily,
yeah,
everybody flowed with it pretty well, and I only broke the candles a little bit. They still turned on and off.
awesome. Love it. All right. Well, welcome to another edition of the InsurTech Building Blocks podcast. I'm your host, Corey Schmidt, and excited to come to you today with a little bit different topic than what we've been covering off on. Historically, we try to do a good job of bringing in different industry experts and outside folks to talk about what's going on in the InsurTech space and share their knowledge with you and understand kind of where the industry is headed. But today we're actually taking a little bit of a different approach here. And I've got somebody from our team that's joining us, and we're going to be talking about digital marketing. So welcome to the podcast, Dyani.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome. Dyani joined the team recently and actually to help us calibrate a new digital marketing offering that we've been working on for a while. And so Dyani is neck deep. Maybe she's drowning. I'm not sure, but she's at least neck deep. Okay. Yeah. It's up to her forehead with all things digital marketing. And we felt for a long time that digital marketing is an important part of the things that our customers are trying to do. It's not a space that we've historically operated in outside of things like automated workflow and email campaigns. We've had like tools and software features, but this is really different than that. And we've kind of taken a holistic look at digital marketing, how it works, how it doesn't work for insurance agencies. And so Dyani's been spending a lot of time in this space. And so I thought it'd be fun to put her in the hot seat a little bit and ask her some questions about what she's learning and help even the listeners just kind of understand the challenges and things that we're uncovering as it relates to how agencies tackle digital marketing in their day-to-day operations. So with that being said, I think what we'll do is maybe start off with just kind of a high-level overview. Dyani, you've spent a lot of time with customers of ours and just looking more broadly in the industry. What are you finding about in terms of like the key challenges that agencies are struggling with as it relates to implementing digital marketing? And maybe even like what in the world is digital marketing would maybe be even a better place to start.
Let's start there, and then we'll go to the first question you asked, which is an important one. Digital marketing is a lot more complicated than it sounds, and digital marketing's really got a few elements to it. The first part is just having a digital brand presence. Are you findable in the digital ecosystem? Are you out there in the digital sphere? Do you have social media pages? Do you have a good website? Are you findable on Google or Bing? Do you even exist in that digital sphere? So that's step one. Step two is how do you use the basic digital tools, frankly, that people use every day? Social media, text messaging, email. Are you using those to communicate with your clients? And are you communicating with them in a way that is meaningful to them and is engaging to them? And so there's a lot that goes into that sort of digital marketing presence, which is findability, and then sort of engagement. How do you use digital tools to engage with people? And all of that actually leads to your second question. Let's talk about why this is so hard and why agencies need this simplified for them. I am finding as I talk to agencies that this whole space is overwhelming. And frankly, I'm also finding that our agencies we work with are sometimes getting questionable advice. When you really think about digital marketing, it has three elements to it. First of all, you have to have the tools. You have to have a website, or you have to have email communication tools or texting tools, the actual tools that let you communicate with people. That's thing one. Thing two is they need the content. What do I put in there? Great that I have a website. What do I put in there? And thing three is the know-how. Do I even know how to build a good content calendar for social media marketing, or how to gauge how many emails a month is too many? There's a lot of skill sets in there that I wouldn't expect most agencies to have. This isn't what they do for a living, but they can't afford to hire a whole marketing agency to go do this for them. So that can be an overwhelming challenge for agencies. They have to have tools, they have to have content, and they have to have know-how. And that is frankly just too much for most agencies and agents who just want to go help people. They just want to go help people. That's what they want to do. So frankly, I think most of our agencies need to find a marketing partner who can help them with those things. But really, the thing I'm finding is that people are finding marketing partners who aren't always trustworthy. They need to find a marketing partner they can trust to help them build great websites that are CMS and ADA compliant, to help them build content that's not just compliant, but also engaging and personalizable to their client base. And really a marketing partner who can help these agencies create marketing that's simple and heartfelt. You know, most of the agents I've talked to, they got into this business because they want to help people. But many of the marketing tools that are out there for them are a little bit cold and impersonal. They don't really reflect the gifts that those agents bring to their business. And so they need to find marketing tools and partners who can help them market in a way that really reflects who those agents are. And that's a tough challenge, honestly.
Yeah, interesting. I think the second part, the number two of the three things, the content piece is the one I've heard a lot of, customers over the years saying like they've tried different partners or different resources for gaining that content. And I think it's an area where there's definitely some gaps in terms of what's available today. And I'm curious, like you mentioned the three pieces, like would the goal be to just kind of give them, the raw tools, or are we trying to explore more of like turnkey, pre-built, insurance-specific solutions here? What's the current strategy you're thinking?
Well, yes, the current strategy I'm thinking about is really how do you build tools that are turnkey, but not cold, which is an interesting challenge. As I have looked at some of the turnkey solutions that our agents are working with, I'll give an example. We have talked to agencies who are using social media posting solutions, for example, where something's getting posted, they're getting lots of social media posts out there. There's a lot of communications, but nobody's liking them. Nobody's replying to those posts. Nobody's interacting to them. So they've sort of checked the marketing box. I've put stuff up there, like I've checked the box, I've marketed, but it didn't actually really gain anything for that agent. It didn't strengthen a relationship with a client. It didn't get a new lead because people aren't interacting. It's like shouting in a room all by yourself. If your marketing is the equivalent of you shouting in a room all by yourself, you might as well not have done it. So what we're working on at AgencyBloc is building really a couple of elements. First of all, we're building websites for our agency partners. And these websites are not only CMS compliant and ADA compliant, and then they have the basics. They're smartphone optimized. They resize beautifully to all sizes of screens, but they're also personalized to be about that agent and why did the agent get into the business and what is it that's special about them and why people should engage with them. The websites are warm and personalized to really speak to who those agents are. Our agents, the agents out there have an amazing story to tell about why they got into this business and why it matters to them. And that website, which is really the face of their business, needs to tell that story. So that's the first thing we've started is websites that really are personalized and engaging and tell the story of our agencies. That's step one. Step two is we're working on a whole content marketing product that is pre-built and pre-written, and the tools are easy and intuitive to use, but also they allow the agent to tweak the content and make sure that it still feels like it's coming from an agent rather than a robot. People want, when they get communications or marketing from their agencies, they want to feel like it came from my agent Jane or my agent Bob. They want to feel like it came from a person and not from a robot. So I'm really proud of the tools we're building. We're building marketing tools that have content created for them. They have tools created for them that make it easy. However, they aren't cold. They are warm, and they allow the agent to make it feel really personalized so that their prospects and clients know that this marketing is coming from somebody who cares about them. And so the goal is to make it personal and easy, but warm.
Yeah. I mean, I think it sounds like regardless of what tools or solutions that agents are using, they should make sure that their communications are genuine and natural and, like you said, a little bit warmer. I've heard some stories actually around people, not even just in the insurance industry, but more broadly using AI to do some of these things. And it's funny how quickly people are able to pick up on, the use of AI in some of these realms. It's very clear that it wasn't written by this particular person, because in many cases, people have previous experiences with those agencies or agents, and they know how they speak and the kinds of things that they would be posting. And so I think I don't doubt there's a place for AI in this space. Like, it certainly, I think, is important that there's a personal touch to the content and the posts that are being promoted. I think one of the things we found as we were digging into this is something like 80+%, I think 81% of people research businesses or agencies online before they start working with them. And as someone who originally founded a website business, I'm never surprised by how out of date some people's websites are and the things that they're doing online. I'm curious, why do agencies not invest in this? Or why is this something that hasn't been at the top of their list? What do you think is the cause of that based on what you've learned thus far?
I agree with you that I am generally surprised when people are not investing in the digital space, because again, your digital presence, it's the outward face of your business. I mean, I think most small businesses want to believe that my face, Dyani's face is the face of my business, but really where people generally go first is your website. But there's really two causes, I think, for why people haven't invested more in this space. One of them, I would put in the realm of somewhat, I don't want this to sound insulting, but it's outdated thought processes. I hear all the time phrases like, well, I'm a referral business, so I don't need sort of these digital things. And anytime I hear that, I say to somebody, all right, well, the last time somebody referred you to a mechanic or a store or a spa, what's the first thing you did? And their answer almost always is, I went to their website. And then I say, well, why would the answer be any different for you? If somebody refers your business, why wouldn't the first place they go to would be your website or your Facebook page? It's an outdated thought that digital isn't important in that process. I think people forget what they do in their daily lives. I also think that the other reason people aren't jumping on the digital bandwagon has to do with what I was talking about before. It is difficult to learn all of this. I mean, even something as simple as getting a website, right? Simple. Who do I trust to build a website? How do I know the costs won't skyrocket? How am I going to get the content? How am I going to know it's CMS compliant? How much is this person going to charge me to update the website on an ongoing basis? I talked to an agent just yesterday who had spent $2,000 building a website that wasn't even launched yet. And she couldn't have known that going in, that this thing was just going to spiral into sort of this endless nothingness. So I think sometimes people don't get into these spaces because it's just too hard. Who do I trust to help me with all this digital marketing? How do I learn what to do? And that's why I'm really excited about what AgencyBloc is doing. Is not only are we are our agents' trustworthy partners, but we're building simple ways to get a great website up and running. We're going to build content marketing for them. And just as importantly, we're providing education to our agents about, what does it take to have a good digital brand? We're not just saying, go do it. We're not throwing them out into the forest on their own in the cold. We're helping them every step of the way. We're going to educate on how do you do social media right? Like, it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. What's right for your agency, and we'll help you. How do you get a good, how do you get a Google business profile? Why do you need a Facebook page? How do you set that up? We're here to help. And I think that's a really big piece is people haven't jumped into the space because it's just hard. And so we're here to make sure that it's really as easy as it can possibly be for them. Not only providing the tools and the content, but also the education. But part of that education is getting people out of those outdated mindsets of, oh, I just don't need it. I'm a referral business. I don't need it. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs to be in the digital space. No, I will say I see these websites. I actually saw a website earlier this week that we're replacing for an agent. And I said to the agent, so are these the colors you picked? Is this your logo? Is this your About Us content? And he was like, actually, I didn't do anything on the website. I signed the contract and they launched this website for me. I said, you didn't pick the colors or you didn't write the About Us that's about you? He's like, no, it's just got launched. I said, are these even the lines of business you cover? He said, no, I don't do all those things, but it was what was in the template. And I said, oh, please let me build you a website. And we're going to go build him a website that he gets to tell the story of who he is. And it's his colors and it's his lines of business. And I was just astonished that this is a live website that's out there representing his company, but he didn't have anything to do with building it, but it's the face of his company. And I just, that is not where we're going. We're going to make sure that every website we build tells the story of the agent in a way that they would want it to.
Yeah. I remember back in the early 2000s, again, when I launched my first business, we would basically, relay it as you need to have your online business card, right? And that's your website, right? And that was kind of the pitch back then. And obviously things have evolved a lot in that amount of time. And I've gotten some more gray hair since back then. But it's interesting how some things also have not changed. Like you have to have a presence, you have to build your reputation, and trust is sort of those first impressions of when someone visits your website or your social profile, things like that. So I think it's obviously only probably gained importance as everyone kind of goes, online first. And I'm curious,
Now,
I think the
I'll
insurance.
say,
Yeah.
oh, before we go, it not only goes online, they go online on a smartphone. So that's the other
Yes,
major,
right. Not on a computer.
Like the 60% of people they're visiting you first on their smartphone, and that's important to
Mobile
know.
first. Yes. No, that's great. I think the insurance industry overall, though, has been typically a little bit slower to adopt some of these newer technologies, especially kind of getting into digital marketing. Do you think, based on what you found, that like consumer expectations have changed in this space? Like I remember way back when I bought my first auto insurance policy, I actually did it online. I think it was Progressive, which back then it was like hardly anybody was doing that. And now, like, online first is really the way I think a lot of the industries have gone. Like any feedback or insight in terms of like how consumer expectations have maybe changed?
It's interesting because I think that's a mixed answer in that I do think, Progressive, obviously, that's a business case all by itself about how they changed the insurance industry. So I think in some ways, consumers have come to expect more and easier and online with the insurance industry. But yet, sadly, I think consumers have also had a lot of bad experiences in the insurance space where it's still really complicated. And sometimes it still feels a little bit like monopolies where people are talking at me and I'm a number and how do I sort of matter in this big, giant, complicated sphere. And so I do think we're still in a very mixed space. And I think that's frankly why the agents we work with are so important, because it brings a human element to an incredibly complicated space. I mean, this space is complicated. And I'm frankly grateful that there are agents out there to help people and guide people.
One thing I always pick up in that realm is, I think most of the people who get into the business of being an insurance agent advisor is that they really do want to help people and they want to have that personal touch. And I think in a lot of cases, digital marketing feels like not personal, right? It's more, putting things out in the ether and expecting people to read it, respond to it, that sort of thing. So that's a hard thing to balance, is having a personal touch and also bringing that into your content.
Well, and keeping it simple. I mean, you talked about the insurance industry evolving. What I'm finding as I look at the players, the digital marketing players in this healthcare space, is that we haven't all quite found that balance yet. And that's what I'm trying to do differently at AgencyBloc is how do you have digital marketing that's simple and executable and doesn't take a lot of agent time, but feels personal. And I find that a lot of marketing in this healthcare space is talking at people. It is yelling at people. It is talking at people, but really, especially in the healthcare space, or really, you could actually say in the PNC, the property and casualty space as well, in that industry, we need to be talking with people. Healthcare is so intensely personal. Like there is almost nothing, as scary as the thought of not having good healthcare when you need it. And so this is a very personal decision, but a lot of the marketing is one way. It's talking at people, whether it's on social media or via newsletters or other mailings. And so I want to help our agents talk with people. How do I continue to engage you and have this be a human conversation where you trust me as your agent to help you with your healthcare decision and needs? And for many of our agents, they're also doing life insurance planning. They're doing burial and final expense planning. They're doing special needs planning for families who need sort of extra care in case they lose the breadwinner of the household. There's all sorts of planning their agencies are doing for people. And every single one of those elements is intensely personal and human. So how do we build marketing that talks with people, not at them? And I'll go back again to the things that haven't evolved. I just want to weep every time I go look at people's social media feeds that have post after post after post that nobody's engaged with. And all they're doing is talking at people. They're not talking with people. And that's just not what this industry is. This industry is about real live human beings trying to help other real live human beings be successful in their lives. And that's what we need to focus on in marketing. No matter how much we automate, marketing still begins and ends by being human. And that's, I think, the piece we need to remember.
I know we've done a lot of research and understanding kind of current solutions on the market. I think it'd probably be fair to say that there's quite a bit of fragmentation that exists today. I mean, it seems like if clients are doing this and doing it well with some sort of third-party solutions, like they don't really talk to each other, they don't work in concert with each other. What's your vision for like how to solve that? Because some of these are small agencies, right? And they don't have time to learn and administer 3 different platforms or 3 different sets of tools. What's your vision for how we can potentially solve for that?
One of my favorite questions.
First of all, I can tell you're not very excited about it, but I am curious what your thoughts are on this.
This is why I don't play poker. I cannot play poker because it's all over my face. And Corey has heard me say this before. My goal when we get into the digital marketing space at AgencyBloc is that agencies feel like a pilot in an airplane. So if you've ever looked in the cockpit of an airplane, a pilot sits down and they have every tool and guide they need right in front of them. They have checklists and buttons and everything they need. It's right here. It's all designed that a pilot never has to leave that seat, no matter what's going on. It's all there for them. And so I really want people to feel that way at AgencyBloc. They log into their AgencyBloc tools and everything they need to succeed is right there for them. It's all within their grasp. And it starts with a really beautifully put together website that is compliant and ADA compliant and mobile optimized and elegant and tells their story. And that website has lead forms and linkages back into their AMS Plus tool set so that the interactions on their website come through to their AMS Plus. Those websites also can be places that agents talk about events they're having where they can share knowledge and guides they have with their customers. Those websites aren't a static thing that just sits there. They're a living, breathing thing that continues to communicate and engage with the community. And then after that, once an agent logs into their AgencyBloc tools, their content library will be there for them. Their send tools, how they send content will be there for them. It will all feel like it's in one place for them so that it doesn't take away from really their core daily responsibilities of working with people. Those marketing tools aren't someplace else they have to go. They're not the pilot. The pilot doesn't have to go back to row 15 to get their landing checklist. He's got it or she's got it right there in the cockpit, right? So that's the way it should feel at AgencyBloc. I don't have to leave my core agency business to go do marketing. My marketing is right there for me. It's at the table right there for me. And then the other way I want it to feel beyond the tools just being in one place for them is that I want it to feel like we've prepared them to have an ongoing conversation with their community. So how do I give them the tools to not be like shouting at people, but engaging with their community on an ongoing weekly or monthly basis, whatever's right for them, so that this doesn't feel like an interruption to their business. It's just part of the natural flow of their business. They have a marketing calendar that they're aware of, and they can easily handle it while sipping their morning coffee. And it's easy and all in one place. That was kind of a long answer, but that's how I want it to feel. Like they've stepped into the cockpit of their airplane and it's all there for them. And it's easy and understandable.
Yeah, I think the neat thing is we've, as a company over the last 12 to 18 months, we've really invested a lot in some of the lead management, front office kind of communications tools, like engaging customers, collecting the necessary compliance, and then, setting up an appointment and getting on that appointment and having a conversation about, where the agent can really be helpful, like trying to eliminate it, or not eliminate, trying to offload some of the manual effort that our customers are going through. And I think this is a really nice extension into that where, when a new lead comes in, like put them directly into an automated workflow and send out the things that you need to collect so that you can start to have those meaningful conversations. It's like, how do we short circuit, all the complex, time consuming things that are, because compliance is a real thing in this industry for sure, especially in the Medicare and ACA under 65 space. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this all fits together. Like anything else, we won't get it 100% day one, but I think we're going to continue to push, as fast and as hard as we can to make it seamless and really helpful and useful for our customers to make them more efficient. So I'm excited to see how all that fits together. What are the
Corey, I would say to all the other investments we're making, the AMS and the AgencyBloc tools, which is somebody puts in a lead on a website. So the website's the beginning and they put in a lead on the website. As you said, it rolls them through workflows of information gathering and engaging those clients at the right time to make sure that they're being taken care of every step of the way. But really, these technologies are something they have to fight with. Our technology should be something they're working with, not fighting with. And I think we hear a lot about agents fighting with, old technologies or outdated technologies, but we are just there to enable this thing to keep rolling for them and make it simple and easy. That's the vision.
Outdated technologies, like when we migrated people from ACT to AgencyBloc back in the, we don't do that a lot anymore, but there are still some out there that are using very old tools to do things that modern business needs better technology to support.
Absolutely.
So what about for agencies that are more focused on like long-term sustainability? Retaining customers is incredibly important. Any specific kind of point of view as to how, we might solve that, or even just more broadly, like what are the core challenges for agencies to have strong retention?
I would love to talk about that. Thank you so much for that one. What's interesting about marketing is that people, when they hear the word marketing, they think sort of point of sale. I market a tennis shoe to you, you go buy the tennis shoe, and we're done. That is not actually what marketing should be. Probably 80% of marketing should be about talking to your existing clients, continuing to nurture and nourish those relationships and reinforce the decisions that they have made or help them make different decisions. One of the things that's great about both the websites we're creating and the content we're creating for content marketing is that a lot of it is about helping people make decisions, not just the first time, for example, they sign up for healthcare, but as they're continuing to evolve those decisions and make changes and as their life changes. So I'll give an example. On the websites that we're creating pages and pages and pages of content about Medicare or life insurance, or how do you get health insurance when you're turning 26 and you can't be on your parents' insurance anymore? What decisions do you need to make when you're turning 65? There's all sorts of educational content in there that's not just important the first time somebody buys insurance, but it's important every time somebody needs to remake or alter those decisions. So first of all, we want to build educational content that our agent clients can use when they're talking to their customers. come look at this content with me, come review all the options with me. We're trying to build them the tools they need to educate their customers. And the reason that matters is that a well-educated customer is far more likely to stay with an agent. In some of my prior businesses, I found that if somebody called into my business to buy something, their retention rate wasn't as high as if somebody could go research themselves online, if they could see it in front of them. And that's because when people are talking at you, a little bit like I'm talking at people right now, but when people are talking at you, you just don't retain as much as when I can read something along with you and learn with you. So back to your retention comment, retention starts at the very beginning. Retention starts at the point of initial enrollment. Does that person, as they're enrolling, feel like, well, okay, I'm going to buy this because somebody told me to, or I'm going to enroll in this because somebody told me to? Or do they feel really confident that they understood all of their options and they understand why this is the right choice for them? So that's where that website content, that customer education content can be so critical, because it will help people feel more confident that they made the right decision to start with. So that's the beginning of retention, is to do it right from the beginning. Then on an ongoing basis, people can use websites or other content marketing tools to go back to and say, now what did I enroll in? And why did I do this? And why does it matter? And what does it have again? So we want to build the tools for our agents to continuously reinforce to their customers what they purchased, why did they purchase what they purchased, what do they need to know on an ongoing basis? Did the plans change? Did prescription drug plans change? So that people can feel continuously educated, can feel continuously involved. They feel continuously involved in the process, because if our agents' customers can feel confident in the choices they're making, and they can feel confident in the agent they're working with, that will help the agent's retention on an ongoing basis. And I realize that was a bit of a long answer to a short question, but it really gets back to retention starts at the very beginning. Can you help people make confident and educated decisions, which makes them feel safer staying with that agent and staying in the space that they are? And then how do you engage and educate for the years to come so that that agent feels like the trustworthy source of guidance, but also the trustworthy source of information?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, in several of the markets where our customers operate, they may only engage once per year, if it's like an annual enrollment. And I think, just having, an email show up in their inbox, like whether it's a monthly newsletter or, like updates, like, hey, going into AEP, here's some things to be aware of as it relates to some of the changes that have happened to some of the products, or maybe it's coverage on medications, that sort of thing. Like, I think just getting some awareness and visibility in their inbox or in some capacity, so that you're not just reaching out, once a year and they're like, now why is this person contacting me? Oh, right. That's who I bought my, Medicare Advantage policy from. I think that's what you're saying definitely resonates with me.
Well, and it's switch proofing. Like, obviously, as people get closer to an enrollment period, they're going to get a lot of materials from a lot of other agents. They're like, no, pick me, pick me. And if I, as a customer, haven't heard from my agent all year long, I have no reason to stay. Like, I don't feel like that agent's investing in me. So, sort of boiling down my long answer I just gave is, if that agent had the materials to educate me well to start with, which I know our agents want to, but really having an agent engage with me all year long, even with really personal messages like, hey, my husband and I were on a wonderful vacation this summer and we got to spend wonderful time with family. And we hope you did too, because we know that that's important to a lot of people. And hey, while we're at it, we just wanted to remind you of this really important, healthcare tip. It reminds people that that agent isn't just a person who helps me enroll. That's a person who I trust and engage with. And that, again, I use the word nurture and the word nourish. Those relationships need to be nourished all year long, so that when somebody else comes over and says, no, enroll through me, I'm going to say, no, I really like my agent. I'm going to stay where I am because I like that person as a person. And that's important.
Makes sense. So I know there's a lot going on. I'm really excited about the work that's been done in a very short amount of time, Dyani, on this front. I think you and the team and have been making tremendous progress. How and or when will people hear more about what specifically we are doing at AgencyBloc in this realm?
Well, I'll say we've launched websites, and we're building some beautiful websites for people that really speak to who they are and are allowing them to educate. These websites are allowing them to educate both their new prospects as well as current clients. So websites are available through AgencyBloc right now, and so if you're interested, give us a call. And we will be rolling out a new content marketing product beginning in April and rolling throughout the year as we learn more. We're going to start small to make sure we're doing it the right way, but we are going to start small with a content marketing product and then continue to build it to be hopefully exactly what our agents need to both grow their business and really retain and engage with their current customers. So that will launch in April and continue throughout the year.
We're going to start small with a big splash at Block Builder, I think is what you just said. Is that right?
Well, I just said we're going to start small with a big splash of Block Builder. You read my mind, Corey. It was perfect.
So Block Builder is coming up and we will be talking about this, right? I think there's some dedicated time that we'll be sharing more about the product.
Yep, we'll have some larger presentations about it, as well as we'll be having small group conversations if people want to come dive into the deeper details.
Awesome. Love that. And one of my favorite times of the year, connecting with customers, getting feedback, just a really, really fun event. And a lot of great networking and peer conversations and learning from what I understand from our customers' perspective as well. So that's mid-April. If you haven't signed up already, you can go to blockbuilder.net. But it was really a great pleasure to have you on the podcast, Dyani. Great to kind of learn what the team's working on. And again, we don't always talk about specifically what's going on at AgencyBloc, but I think it is fun from time to time to switch gears and actually talk about what our team is working on, especially in this realm, because I think it's a huge area for opportunity for our customers to get better. And we can hopefully make them more successful, make them more money, help them retain their customers. It's really our goals are try to make them more successful. And I really have been impressed by the work the team has done thus far. Excited to see what's to come.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure to talk about it today.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Till next time.